Hello gamers, this is Sai, and welcome back to Which Way Games. Now why is it important not to get too cocky in a gunfight? What? My hand! Well, that certainly got out of hand, and with that being said, let's get on with the video. Now most gamers can name gaming developers without batting an eyelid, such as Nintendo, Capcom and even Sega. But there's one gaming developer that raised the bar when it came to light gun games.
Pew, pew. Gotcha.
This of course would be Namco, and if they didn't exist, the world of gaming wouldn't have Pac-Man, Ridge Racer or the legendary Tekken. But to understand where some of these games come from, it's time to take a trip back to the past to see where it all started. All the way back in the 50s, Namco's founder, Masaya Nakamura, started a small company known as Nakamura Saisakusho, and using what money he had, Nakamura purchased two hand-cranked rocking horses. It was from these two horses that Nakamura's business started to grow, and it would eventually lead to the fantastic wonderland known as the arcade. The Nakamura Saisakusho company renamed itself Namco and soon released GB, a block breaker game that played similar to Atari's Breakout. But it wasn't until the release of Galaxian that Namco soon started to find its footing within the world of gaming. And from the popularity of Galaxian, Namco introduced probably one of the biggest gaming icons of all time, Pac-Man. Regarded as one of the best-selling arcade games of all time, Pac-Man had gamers controlling the endearing yellow character through an enclosed maze where the objective of the game was to collect all the dots. However, Pac-Man's not as simple as it seems, as gamers will have to avoid the four ghosts, otherwise it's game over. From here, Namco had cemented its place in the world of 80s gaming, and following the success of Pac-Man, Namco released classic titles such as Galaga, Dig Dug and the ever fun Pole Position. Such was the popularity of Pole Position that it even inspired a Saturday morning cartoon, perhaps one that the cartoon guy will look at in the future.
Of course!
Eventually Namco made that transition from the arcade to the homes of gamers of the 80s, with ports of some of their classic games gracing the legendary grey box of fun known as the NES.
Now you're playing with power.
However, cracks soon started to appear within this relationship between the two companies, and eventually they would part ways momentarily.
I have a great time.
And as if by magic, technology had improved, especially in the world of gaming, and this is where a very well-known racing game made itself known. Ridge Racer hit arcades back in 1993 and was instantly popular with gamers, who were able to speed through a number of tracks, drifting round corners and essentially living out that fantasy of owning a Japanese supercar. As popular as Ridge Racer was in the arcade, the popularity continued when Namco brought this amazing racing game over to the PlayStation. And lucky for PlayStation gamers, Namco released some amazing titles such as Klonoa, Soul Edge, Point Blank and the Tekken series. A legendary fighting franchise that can rub shoulders with the likes of Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. However, out of all these amazing games that appeared on the PlayStation, there is one that raised the bar when it came to light gun games. With the release of Time Crisis, Namco had set the standards for this style of gameplay, and in this legendary title, gamers take on the role of Special Agent Richard Miller, and what follows is an on-rail shooting adventure through a variety of stages with multiple paths and plenty of enemies. What made Time Crisis such a joy to play was the cover system, which allowed gamers to hide behind scenery to avoid enemy fire.
Get down.
And for those gamers that are fans of this amazing shooting series, keep an eye out for future videos on Time Crisis and its many sequels.
Alright.
Once again, gaming technology progressed, and alongside it so did the games from Namco, who by now were well in their stride when it came to creating some truly amazing titles. With the likes of Katamari Damacy, Ace Combat Zero and the infamous Soul Calibur, gamers were indeed spoiled. One gamer I know claims to be unstoppable at Soul Calibur, even boasting that he could beat any opponent just by using his face. Although I do know a way to win every single time. Snip snip. And although these games were deemed popular with gamers, trouble soon started to appear within the walls of Namco. And by the turn of the century, things were starting to look bleak for the highly sought after games developer. Despite Namco's best efforts to survive on their own, Namco eventually merged with Bandai, creating Bandai Namco, but that's for another time.
Oh my.
Overall, the games from Namco have gone down in history as staples of gaming. Gamers of every generation will eventually play a game from Namco, and soon learn why this gaming developer can stand tall among the other legends of gaming. With Namco now being part of Bandai, I can only wonder what the future will bring. Maybe a team up with Sega, or perhaps a return to Nintendo, and finally developing that mysterious RPG that was destined for the 64DD. Anyway, come back next time where the cartoon guy takes a look at a classic for the festive season. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next game.